Administrator, thanks for being here today. Appreciate having you. Both NERC and FERC have expressed concerns about grid reliability for our electric grid nationwide. And the reason, as you know, is very simply because we're losing base load on the grid, and we have more and more variable sources of energy. And one of the big reasons we're losing that base load is because of the regulatory blizzard that's been put in place by the Biden administration that is forcing coal plants to close down with no benefit to the environment. We continue to move forward in our state with the latest, greatest technological innovations to address SOx, NOx, mercury, CO2, you name it, right? And yet they're still forcing these plants to close down. But it is putting the grid at risk. So talk to me about how you're going to take steps to unwind these burdensome rules like the MATS rule and like the Clean Power Plan 2.0.
Senator, we believe at EPA we can choose to both protect the environment and grow the economy. It's not a binary choice where we have to pick one or the other. Over the course of the last couple years of the Biden EPA, there were a lot of regulations that came out, many of which seeking to strangulate entire industries, to put, for example, the coal sector completely out. Well, these are jobs. For many states, this is how they are powering their lives. EPA announced many different regulatory actions, including a reconsideration of that Biden-era MATS rule, including what's called Clean Power Plan 2.0, as you referenced, and other rules as well. Now, some people like to post some photograph, of the 60s and 70s and say that if we get rid of some regulation from 2024, this is what the water is going to look like. This is what the air is going to be like. We're talking about regulations from the last year or two, and we're going to go through a reconsideration. We're going to follow the Administrative Procedures Act. There's going to be a public comment period, and while I can't prejudge outcomes now, at the end of the process, when I'm supposed to, we'll make a decision on what the future should look like on each individual regulation center.
Right. Same thing now for waters of the U.S. Talk to me about how we are going to make sure that private property rights are respected with waters of the U.S., which once again, the Trump administration had put in place a responsible rule.
The Supreme Court in Sackett has very clear, simple, prescriptive language as to what should be a water of the U.S. EPA seeks to follow the Supreme Court in Sackett and to make sure that there is a simple, durable rule that can withstand the test of time, that would allow any farmer or rancher, landowner, anywhere in America or state like Alaska and others, they will know whether or not water that is on land is a water of the U.S. or not. And what's very important to point out is that just because a water might not be a water of the U.S. as it relates to Sackett, that doesn't mean that a state loses the ability to have oversight over that waterway. And that's a big misunderstanding as to what we're talking about here. So we are doing a rulemaking to reconsider the definition of waters of the U.S. to get the definition for EPA in line with the Sackett decision of the United States Supreme Court. We do not want any of your landowners to have to go pay an attorney or a consultant to tell them whether or not a water on their property is a water of the U.S. I want every one of your ranchers and landowners to know whether or not there's a water of the U.S. on their property. We owe it to them. And we should look at a map of the United States that has one definition that is being followed in all 50 states. We shouldn't have different definitions depending on what state we are in. And no matter what happens in presidential elections of the future, if we do this right and we come up with a simple definition that follows the Supreme Court decision in Sackett, the definition that we come up with now should be one that withstands the test of time.
Thank you. And I also appreciate you referencing respect for states' rights. Respect for private property rights and respect for states' rights are constitutionally protected. And it's vitally important that the EPA and other federal agencies don't overstep those constitutional rights.
Agreed, Senator.
Thank you.